Let me give you a few of Soule's fallacies that are directly relevant. One, the chess pieces fallacy. This is the assumption that people from different groups should be distributed proportionally across all outcomes and positions, as if we were interchangeable pieces on a board. But people aren't chess pieces. We have different interests, different preparation, different choices shaped by culture and circumstance. When we see statistical disparities and immediately conclude they're evidence of discrimination without examining all these other factors, we're committing this fallacy. Disparities don't equal discrimination. That's a hard one for a lot of us in this space. Disparities don't equal discrimination. And worse, when we try to engineer proportional outcomes, which a lot of people take equity to be, which I never have, but understand that that was something that a lot of people believed. I didn't even fully understand it until I started talking to people about equity. And they're like, yeah, it's equal outcomes. I was like, whoa, you really think about that? Let's go a little deeper. Does that actually help? A lot of people didn't necessarily respond. But when we try to engineer proportional outcomes, we often create the very resentment and division we're trying to eliminate. The next fallacy is the zero-sum fallacy. This is the belief that one group's gains necessarily come at another group's expense. This showed up constantly in so-called DEI work. The assumption that addressing historical disadvantages for one group meant taking something away from another, but organizational capability isn't zero-sum. When you build genuine inclusion skills, the ability to manage complexity, navigate difference, create conditions for thriving, everybody's capacity expands. As Alex Edmonds would say, the pie gets bigger, it grows. We can grow the pie. The third of these fallacies that are relevant is the knowledge fallacy, perhaps most relevant to our work in inclusion. This is the assumption that decision makers have sufficient knowledge to successfully engineer outcomes. We acted as if we could design the perfect intervention, call it how to be an anti-racist or white fragility or whatever. I know I pick on those two a lot, but they're the ones that everybody else picks on that's against the so-called anti-DEI. I wish they wouldn't have become the poster child for everything that our work shouldn't be, but they did. We acted as if we could design the perfect intervention, the right training, the correct policy that would produce the culture we wanted. But cultures are emergent. They arise from thousands of interactions, informal networks, unspoken norms. Top-down engineering rarely produces what we intend. It usually produces unintended consequences we didn't anticipate because we couldn't possibly know all the variables at play. These fallacies were embedded in much of the DEI work that was happening